sitting there. What are you doing over there? Oh, you're waiting to come on. That's what I was thinking. He was going to operate a camera. And I've just been told we have no camera operator. So, okay. You're eavesdropping. You're eavesdropping. You're listening in.
30 seconds.
Hello, I'm I.E. Mason, and those of you who watch Billboard TV may be familiar with me in that role. But today I have a slightly different one. I'm talking with people from the high school who'll be making programming. And with me is Rob Moretti, who has been active in video at Mamaroneck High School since he was a freshman.
Yes.
And he's going to continue with that particular role in college, right?
Yes, I'm going to major in broadcast journalism.
And you already know that 2 places are willing to teach you broadcast journalism, which are?
Albany and Binghamton have accepted me already.
That's terrific. And what about your other ideas, where you want to
I'm
go?
also waiting to hear back from the University of Delaware, Fordham University, Syracuse University, and Quinnipiac University.
Well, you picked some good colleges, and all of them are pretty much in the cold zone, so I guess you'll have to go with plenty of clothing, and if you're going to go out in the sidelines. You know, Rob has done an awful lot of sports reporting from Mamaroneck High School, and we show that on LMC-TV. And he's really very accomplished. I think he'll do a very good job with sports reporting. And I'm wishing you every good luck with that. But what we need to do now is talk about what you have done in the high school. I mean, you started out as a freshman, and for somebody who's interested in doing video on MHS, and we like to know people who are going to do that at MHS because we can use them on LMC. So let's have an idea of what a freshman coming into the high school might want to do when he finds the video. What is it? It's an elective?
It's an elective course.
Okay, so what do you think you need to have to succeed as an elective in MHS?
Well, you have to look to have fun, first of all. You have to find something that is fun for you, because if it's boring, you're not going to have very much fun with it, and you're not going to have very much success either, because you're just not going to be into what you're doing. But video is fun for a lot of reasons. First of all, you can be visually creative. And for people who aren't good at drawing or making things with clay, it's really an interesting way of doing this. All you need to know how to do to make a video is how to use a camera and how to use some editing software, and it's not terribly difficult. So I think that it's something where people can be very, very creative and can also have a lot of fun.
So it's a good elective to think about.
Yes.
All right, so how much time do they allot to that in freshman year?
It's a 1-period course. It's about 53 minutes a day, 4 days a week, the way the high school schedule works.
All right, now one of the things that high school students do is MHS Info.
Yes.
Now, can you do that the first year, or do you have to wait?
Not in the first year. You have to take your video production class, which is the introduction to the equipment and how to make simple, short videos. And then you take a year of that, and then you're eligible to take MHS Info, which is the school's news show that airs every morning at 10 o'clock a.m.
All right, now then, when you're doing MHS Info, the formula is something like a news show, isn't it?
Somewhat. It's about 6 minutes long.
And do you have a sports section in that?
I have done some sports work for it. There's not a set sports section for it, but if someone's interested in doing sports for it, they will most definitely love to see people do it.
Well, then in that case, then, if you're interested in MHS Info, if you have a particular field that you're really interested in, then MHS Info would be happy to incorporate that into their programming.
Usually they will, as long as, you know, Info, one thing is they try to make sure everything's newsworthy and make sure it's really news. But if, say, you're interested in sports, for example, as long as you do something about something that happened fairly recently about sports, they'd love to put you on. and other fields as well. Politics, they'd love to see people talk about politics, because when they don't have people on talking about these things, it turns into basically the original reason they created Info was to be like the school announcements, the morning announcements, but to give the video production class some involvement in that. But it's really over time morphed into being more than just the school announcements. But if no one goes on, then it just turns into the school announcements.
Well, one of the benefits of working on MHS Info is it has a discipline. So you have an opening, you have items that have to go in at a certain speed and time slots, and then you have an ending. So you are learning on that 6-minute program an awful lot of what you would need to do in a real commercial studio. And on top of which, of course, you can learn to edit.
Yes.
And this is now modern editing. We do it on the computer, don't we?
Yeah. Actually, when I was a freshman, all we had was mostly tape-to-tape linear editing. And then late in my freshman year, early in my sophomore year, we got more computers.
Do you like it better?
You can do more with it. I mean, tape-to-tape editing is quicker because it's just a one-shot deal. But computer editing, you can do a lot more with your footage. You can put effects in. You can, if your footage looks a little, didn't come out the way you want it, sometimes you can fine-tune it and make it look a little better.
Yeah, you can do some color correction.
Color correction,
and you can
things like that.
sharpen up the image a little sometimes.
Yeah, those are things you usually can't do with tape-to-tape editing.
So this elective has actually broadened its scope now, because
Yes.
this is a pretty good talent to learn.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because we have we on LMC, we have our classes too. And I have to say that we must have trained in this last year on video editing on the computer. I would guess about 100 people have qualified over the last year. From not this last 2 months, but going back to a year from now. And it's a very good talent to have. And the only thing that we ever request is that when people come and take our classes, which are free, they will produce something for us to air. So it's a pretty good exchange, because we get people with novel ideas who are willing to try some special effects. We've had a couple of people who did talent from the streets in White Plains. That was an interesting show, especially since it was in Spanish. Oh. And we try to broaden our interest in this community, because we have a mixed community, and that's what Access is all about. It's trying to reach everyone in the community. So, okay, so now we got past your freshman year, and we've got halfway through the 4 years. When did you decide that you really wanted to work on the sports end?
That actually began late in my freshman year. Seth Rothman wanted to film a baseball game, and he needed a cameraman. So he went looking around, and Mike Wicks, the teacher, found me and recommended me to him, and we did a game together, and the pitcher for Mamaroneck happened to pitch a no-hitter that day. So from then on, we were kind of stuck. We couldn't miss it. We couldn't miss a beat. We had to keep going to sports events. And then Seth Rothman's brother Josh came into the high school, and he took over as the cameraman, and me and Seth Rothman started announcing the games together, and we had a lot of fun with it. So that's really how we both got hooked.
It looks very professional now. You guys are looking good, and we're going to miss you, because somebody's got to be in your shoes. Now, who's going to follow on behind you?
Well, Josh Rothman is still going to be filming the games. I think Eric Goodman might be interested, possibly. I think he's going to be on the show later, and I think he might be interested in doing some games as well.
Yeah, that's another point. Is he going to be doing anything with MHS Info for you?
Well, it's not going to be for me anymore because I'm leaving, but...
I meant in place of you, really.
Yeah, in place of me. He's going to, I think he is. He has expressed some interest, so...
All right. Now, besides MHS Info, you have your own program.
Yes.
Which is called?
Peer Pressure.
And what's Peer Pressure all about?
Peer Pressure is a team-produced news show, and instead of just being a straight-laced news show, we want it to appeal to teens. So what we do is we split it up into segments. We have segments where it's really diversified. We have a general. First, we have general local news that teens might be interested in. Then we have a segment where Kelsey Wentz, she basically just finds something interesting to do a little news story about. It's usually entertaining, but also informative. We have an entertainment section where we talk about upcoming concerts and movies. And we have a political section where Jay Fiddleman talks about what's been happening recently in politics. I have a sports section, and that's pretty much the show.
Well, that's pretty good. You know, when MHS Info was doing a lot of active things within the school, we had various groups that came on with things they were promoting. But one of the things I remember was you used to do special good wishes, like birthday wishes or happy Valentine. Do you do any of that stuff anymore?
I haven't seen it recently. I don't know why, but
I guess there's nobody pushing it. 'Cause
yeah, I guess not.
you always have to have somebody who's willing to start to do something,
Yeah.
right? And that's not going to happen. So, all right. So now we've got to peer pressure. Now, who else is on peer pressure with you?
Kate Fahey is the main anchor. There's me, there's Kate Fahey, there's Kelsey Wentz, there's Lena Kahn, Jay Fiddleman, and Josh Rothman also helps us a lot with the editing and backstage stuff. He does a lot of work there.
And what about graphics?
Graphics,
Any special stuff?
Josh Rothman actually edited together a very interesting opening sequence where our faces fly all over the screen and stuff. So it took him a while to do, but he put a lot of work into it, and it came out looking really good.
Well, that's the point. You were talking about, editing on a computer. You can get wonderful effects, but they are time-consuming.
Yes.
So anybody who's thinking about it, it isn't something you can learn overnight. You can learn how to do it overnight, but getting the real good stuff to work, that takes a little concentration and time, doesn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what can we tell other people about you? What are you planning immediately? Anything special?
Nothing immediately. The baseball season's coming up, so I get to start calling games again because the basketball season ended about a month ago.
You get a chance to go down to Port St. Lucie or anything recently this past week? No?
That I haven't gotten to do.
That would be fun. Maybe you can do that for spring break when you get to college, right?
There's an idea.
Yeah. Certainly you could go down and pursue some of your goals, and maybe you could even tape some, take camera down, tape some interviews, take them back to college, make your own program. And all these programs, college programs, usually have radio stations too.
Yeah.
So you can hone your skills there. Like Charles Osgood at Fordham is where he honed his skills, and a couple of other top-notch game callers whose names still have evaded me while I've been sitting here thinking. But
I think Michael Kay went to Fordham, didn't he?
To be honest with you, I'm trying to think of a name. It begins with a P, and it won't come to me. But it's a hot name in baseball, but I'm not really a good baseball person to talk to. So I'm afraid I don't know very much. But once in a while, when the Yankees are up there, I've got to find out if they're going to win or not. That's when I become a fan, when I want to find out what's going on. So thank you, Rob. I guess what we'll do is we'll find out if we have another victim.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming and talking to us. And I want to thank you also for the number of times that you've helped LMC when we've needed people to volunteer or do something for us. You've been there, and we really appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Well, now, I have just been talking with Rob Moretti, and I've been talking about volunteering. And one of the things that we love in this community is a volunteer. And we will treat them so kindly because we are so happy to have them, but it's such an easy thing for you to do. Right here is our Studio One at Mamaroneck High School. So if you're interested in volunteering for us, all you have to do is come up here and talk to Emon Conejo and give him your name, your telephone number, and an email address, and tell us what you'd like to do. Now, we can teach you things in specific classes, or you can come to us and just say, I'd like to learn the camera, and I just want to do it like a hands-on right now. I don't really want to take classes, but I have some time, and could you use me? And we certainly can always use people on camera, and it's a very easy thing to learn. And not only that, it's exciting because you really do get to make people look better than you think you can, and we will appreciate so much your help. Like the young people that go and do stuff for us, and we can put it on LMC Sports or new programs. And right with me right now is somebody who has the idea for a new program.
That is correct.
And his name is Daniel Zoderer.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Zouder, but close. It's
Okay,
fine.
that's not so bad.
Not
At
so
least
bad.
people will recognize you now when they see you.
Yes,
All right, now yours is going to be a much more politically oriented program, isn't it?
correct, yeah. It's called Probably Out of Many One, based on what's on the dollar bill, E pluribus unum.
I
It's
see.
basically a political debate show or discussion show where different people from the community come onto the show and discuss issues pertinent to the town and just all around national important issues, just in order to spark more political interest within the town of Larchmont, Mamaroneck.
All right, so who are you going to have on the show?
Who are we going to have? Well, the first episode is going to be 2 kids from the actual high school. We wanted to start with high school kids so we could get our feet off the ground and then appeal to a larger adult audience. So we have 2 kids from the high school, Malcolm Ohl and Aram Zuckersharf, which is a great match, and I'll tell you why. Because Malcolm is the head editor of the Republican newspaper in school.
Which is?
It's called The Beacon, I believe.
Oh,
And Aram Zuckersharf is the editor of the Democratic paper in Mamaroneck High School, which is called The Rogue State. So
that's
it's a
an
big
interesting
face-off.
name.
It is, yeah.
This sounds like an interesting proposal, but I do have to ask you something. Do we still have the Globe?
We do still have the Globe, yes, but the Globe is really, as of now, is very nonpartisan. They do not want to stress certain issues. They don't want to have a political affiliation.
Well, I think
because-
it's very interesting that we have 2 political newspapers in the school. I mean, it's more almost than we have political candidates in the country. We've got 2 newspapers, and we've got a 3rd newspaper, which is middle of the road, doesn't want to create
Right,
any
exactly.
waves. I think that's wonderful. So that's who you're going to start with, your first
I'm gonna
program?
start with- Yep, and it should be. We're probably going to speak about the environment. Actually, I've actually been doing a lot of work on the show, along with the host Tommy Fiatchko. So I've made an opening graphic. We've picked out the song. I even have a banner for the show.
A banner?
A banner, yeah.
It's going to be at the back here, like we have this.
Oh no,
right
well
now?
I came up with a whole lighting arrangement and everything like that. But you know, we already came up with the graphics and the banner for the bottom, so we have all that ready to go.
All right, so what's your stand on the environment?
My personal stance. Well, I'm not the one hosting the show.
Well, that doesn't matter. You can tell me why you think this is a good issue.
I thought this was an important issue because in our school there are many people who are they stress the environment. For example, we don't have a lot of spaces in the parking lot, so everyone, for a number of reasons, are suggesting that people carpool to school, things like that. And people are upset with Bush's proposals with drilling in Alaska. I'm in the Model Congress in school, and we have many pseudo bills about that, speaking about how they think Bush is ruining the environment and things like that. So it's just very, very controversial. It'd be an interesting thing to start off with. And my host Tommy Fiatchko, seems to be very interested in doing something like that.
What do you think? You might start some debates going?
Oh, most definitely. That's basically what the show is, just political discussion and debate in order to spark interest. Because, I mean, there really aren't many teens that are very informed. And it'd be great to have more kids voting, especially in their senior year, and just to be able to spark political interest.
So, and are you going to invite any parents to join you?
Oh, most definitely. The second episode is probably going to be a mix of adults and teenagers in order to get some kind of, debate going within the parent-children spectrum.
Well, I think that would be good.
Right, because we all want to know what our children have to think about our parents and the political issues surrounding it, and just to see that kids necessarily don't hold the same views their parents do,
Yeah,
and to be able to express that on a political show might be very fun.
Well, I think it would be. I think you would get some honest responses, and you might even surprise a few parents.
Maybe, and we're also
a few
going.
parents might surprise you too.
That's very true, but we're also going to have possibly the rabbi and the priest, and even just some other, maybe some teachers from this high school talking about the No Child Left Behind Act or Bush's policies on education.
Yeah, that would be a good subject.
So just because I watch LMC-TV and I think that they're great, the shows are great, but I don't see any political shows there, and it'd be very interesting to just spark some political interest.
Do you know whether we get any kind of input from the No Child Left Behind Act? Do you know whether this community has any connection
I
with
personally
that?
do not know,
It'd be interesting
but
to
it'd be
find
interesting
it
to
out.
find out what teachers think about Bush's general policies.
Certainly as
Since
far
in
as
the actual
education's
school
concerned.
ground they're supposed to be nonpartisan, but once they get out onto LMC-TV, they can speak openly. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, we hope that's what they can do. That's
Right.
what we're here for, is to let people have their say in a normal, civilized manner, so that we can spark some debates and open up some subjects to good, candid discussions.
Right.
Okay, so who else? Who's the co-host with you?
The co-host, his name is Tommy Fiachko.
And what grade are you guys in?
We are in 11th grade.
Ah.
We just thought of the idea recently. I went to a summer camp and I got very involved in video and film. And I decided, well, LMC-TV is a great venue to just get this out into the open. And I figured, why not start small, make a little show here and see how it goes. So he's going to be hosting with me.
Okay, and now that I finished talking with you, I thank you for being here.
Thank you for
And I
inviting me.
also have to thank you the same way I did Rob for volunteering for LMC like you do. Because when we need somebody and we pick up the phone, particularly at this time of day, we have a problem finding people.
Right.
And that's why the high school students in this program, the elective, is so important to us. And it's important to the community because without you guys, a lot of our political programming couldn't happen because you're behind the camera.
I know for the election show, a lot of the kids I know are working right back in the stage with the adults.
Yep, they were. They were here.
It's a great way for kids to get involved in
Yep.
it really makes them feel important about themselves.
And on top of which, it's going out live, so there's a certain amount of extra discipline that everybody needs to think about because we've got
Right.
time issues and things like getting people off and on and taking their microphones off. And so what I'm going to do right now, so we can do that with you and make room for our next candidate, who is Eric Goodman, I am now going to talk to the audience and tell them how they can volunteer. So they can volunteer by coming to this studio, or they can call our town center studio, which is really where we send our programs out from. And that's on 740 West Boston Post Road. And Eric Lewis, our executive director, will be very happy to tell you how you can volunteer. He'll also be very happy to tell you about the summer programs that we have for students in this community, teaching them how to do video, how to set up a film sequence, how to basically enjoy telling a story for a camera and through the camera for an audience. So my next candidate will be Mr. Eric Goodman, who knows very much about some of the programs that we do at LMC, such as our short video contest. Because Eric, and here he is sitting right next to me, submitted quite a lot of entries for last year's Anything Goes video contest, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I submitted, I think, 1 or 2 public service announcements, 2 documentaries, a small art film, a claymation video.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot.
Yeah, but the one that I guess won an award for Best Documentary was a project I did on a multiple sclerosis walk. And the story behind that is I have a history teacher here at Mamaroneck High School that has MS. And every year she joins in the National Multiple Sclerosis Walk, and she tries to get support from her students to walk and raise money, and tries to get support from the staff and other teachers. And I thought the whole concept was interesting, so myself and one other friend decided to do a documentary about it. And it really turned out great. We got interviews from students who did the walk, we got an interview from my history teacher, and
We raised quite a good amount of money too, I recall.
Yeah, I think they raised last year a total of $26,000, some
That's incredible,
phenomenal number
isn't
like
it?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's been doing that a few years now, but nobody ever thought to document it before. So that was an interesting experiment for her and for you. I bet she was most appreciative.
Yeah, she really liked it. She enjoyed it.
She's a nice woman, and that was great to see. But you did a lot of stuff. I started looking at some of these things, and I was thinking to myself, you look like a young man who every time somebody presented a new video idea to you, you said, oh, this would make a great entry into the short video contest. And you added them all, you know, they all came together as if you'd said, haha, this one can go in too.
Yeah. Well, I guess along those lines, when I get an idea, I love video, and I love to, you know, experiment with different types of film and also what I can do documentaries on. I have about 7 or 8 ideas for a new project, that I want to work on. And right now in school, I'm working on a project that will be shown to the district during a conference day in late March about technology and how it's used in the school. And also I'm working with my friend David Haug on a project that we're going to show on the school news about the volunteer firefighter department for the town of Village of Larchmont. And
yeah, the village of Mamaroneck actually has the only volunteer,
I think then
completely
that's it.
volunteer fire department. That's the one you're doing it on, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I get the towns and villages mixed up, but it's a lot of fun. We're starting to do that. And I have a bunch of other ideas, doing a project on popular trends in the school, doing a project about the different places to go during free periods, because I did a project about how there's not a lot of places to go, and the library at our school is generally too overcrowded. Maybe do a follow-up on
Oh,
this.
now, are you going to do a piece on the new library? 'Cause that's supposed to open the end of this month.
Yeah, possibly do something on the new construction that's going on. I've thought about that in some sense, but it might be interesting to do a project on that.
Might be interesting for you to make the comparison between the old library, where there didn't seem to be that much room, and the new one, and see how they've addressed that problem and what the students think about it. Because I think they want it to be something like a community meeting place for the students, as well as just a library.
Yeah, I think. I know the whole big construction project, they have the new library, new cafeteria, one or two new classrooms. It's going to be a big...
Is the cafeteria going to be in the same location, but they've revamped it, or is it in a different place?
I'm not sure if it's going to go where the library used to be or in the new building directly, but I know that there is going to be a new cafeteria.
Well, that's about time.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah, well...
So I wonder what they're going to do with all those murals that are all around the room there. You remember in the cafeteria,
yeah.
they've got all the murals that somebody went to a lot of trouble to paint.
Paint those.
They're going to have to find a place to keep them, because, you know, they must have been purchased by a PTA or donated by a parent or something like that.
Yeah, or painted by a student, although they're very good. I don't know what they're going to... I'm not actually sure what they're going to do with the old cafeteria.
Yeah, well, they'll find a use for it, because we need the space in the school. Now, do you have any plans for a new program for yourself coming up?
Not necessarily a new program for myself. Next year, I might be working on peer pressure. I might take over for Rob as the sports anchor. But what I do I'm in an advanced video class here at Mamaroneck High School. I'm a sophomore, and I took Introduction to Video as a freshman, and now I'm taking advanced video. And once every 2 weeks, we get to produce the morning announcements show. But we try to make it more like a show than just the announcements. And that's the key. And it's been great, because it's so creative and different from the regular shows that people really want to watch it, and they're interested in watching it. You know, we've done several different things. One show that we did entirely in Spanish. And we had subtitles along the bottom in English. Another show we did entirely, we changed the pitch on the camera, and we did an entire show in purple and green. So I was an anchor, and I came on purple. And
you wouldn't be called Bonnie by any chance now, would you?
Nah, I don't think so. But you know, it's fun. And the kids in our class, we have 13 kids, and we all love it. We're devoted to it, and we have the support of our teacher. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, I've got to thank you again too, the same way I did Dan and Rob, for being such a good volunteer. We do depend on you guys. Spread the word for whoever's coming up, that we can use all the volunteers we can, especially at this time of day. And we look forward to seeing you all with your new programs. And Rob, when he comes back for the alumni return thing that we do in Christmas time.
Yep.
So, and see you in his place. That should be very interesting. And I thank you. And now I'm just going to remind the viewers that if you wish to volunteer, all you have to do is pick up the phone, call 698-6808. That'll get you Studio 1, which is here, our original studio. Speak to Emon Conejo and tell him you would like to volunteer. And remember, you don't necessarily have to take a class. You just come up and learn on the spot. But if you want to learn a class in field production or editing, then just pick up the phone, 698-6808. Tell us when it's convenient for you, and we'll fit you into one of our schedules. So I'm Eileen Mason. You met Rob Moretti. You met Dan Zodera.
Zouder, yeah.
Zouder, excuse me. And of course, Eric Goodman. And thank you for watching.